And we'll be speaking to one of the accomplished entrepreneurs in the Kenyan landscape, and that is Mike Macharia, the CEO of 7Seas Technology. Let's take a look at his profile. Mike Macharia is the founder and group CEO of 7Seas Technologies Group, which he started at a precious age of 25. A qualified chartered financial accountant with over 18 years' experience in entrepreneurship, he serves as the chairman of the Kenya Information Technology and Outsourcing Society, the ICT Sector Committee for the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, and a founding board member and vice chairman of Endeavour Kenya, a subsidiary to Endeavour Global, which leads a worldwide movement in support of high-impact entrepreneurship. From a tech startup to a respected corporate organization in the African technology arena, 7Seas has positioned itself and delivering transformational technology solutions in healthcare and social services. His advocacy of social entrepreneurship has manifested itself through a series of 7Seas Group initiatives. These initiatives continue to help orchestrate the delivery of good health and well-being, create decent work for economic growth, in addition to building human and intellectual capacity in industry, innovation and infrastructure, which all form part of the Sustainable Development Goals and 7Seas mantra of transforming lives and changing communities. Thank you so much, Mike, for being with us on the Trading Bell.
Thank you.
Well, I know your company is not listed, but we are living in an interesting time where we're seeing a number of IT companies across the globe being very strategic by listing in the markets. Let's just start off by, why aren't we seeing enough IT companies listing on the exchange?
I think it's, to a large extent, the maturity of the market. Now, if you look at the fintech segment, because of the likes of the telcos coming to the market, the telecommunication companies sort of created the platform that enabled the fintech infrastructure to take off, right? So yes, definitely we know the M-Pesas of the world, but there are very many other companies that have then come on top of that and created business models around that, right?
Sure.
Now, if you look at my industry, for instance, in the technology healthcare industry, the healthcare industry to a large extent has highly been analog to a large extent.
Mm-hmm.
So as governments and as companies build out infrastructures, you'll start seeing lots of technology that is layered on top of some of this infrastructure.
Sure.
So I guess when you look at the developed world, a lot of this e-commerce space, the Amazons of the world, the Microsoft of the world, some of those people have grown because the largest customers were either government or middle class or upper class that consumed their products, right? Whether it's Microsoft, whether it's IBM.
Yeah.
So government consumed a lot of their products, so they had capability to scale.
Sure.
I think what we see is that then also the B2C market also scaled in a way that infrastructure is available. E-commerce market space was available. So today what I think is going to happen in the next 10 years, we'll start seeing some companies listing, maybe in the agri-tech space, maybe in the health tech space, and who knows? I think the Big Four agenda, for instance, should be a good test to see if a lot of companies in the fintech sector, in the technology sector list.
All right. And Mike, you'd agree with me that the technology and health space for a number of years has been under the tight grip of multinational companies. And we are seeing a paradigm shift where we are seeing homegrown solutions like 7Seas playing in this league, trying to get into, in an aggressive way, getting into the technology space. Just walk us through your journey in terms of setting up the company and, of course, fighting the big boys.
We have been in the business for the last 18 years, and 18 years is a long time. You see a lot. 18 years we've had different regimes come into power. We've seen ourselves mature in the business segment. When we started, we were traditionally a technology infrastructure-led business, representing global multinationals that never had presence in this marketplace. Today, 18 years later, you walk around, you drive across Westlands Highway or the main highway, you see the large multinationals with big logos in their buildings. That has happened in the last 18 years. In the last 18 years, we started representing these organizations. And through us, they grew into the marketplace. Today, they represent themselves. We then asked ourselves critical questions that, look, as these multinationals scale with you, at some point, they will need to trade by themselves in the marketplace. And that's why we started saying that we need to verticalize what we do. In terms of, we cannot just be a technology for technology's sake. We need to sort of relook at technology at a vertical level. So for instance, either you look at government, or you look at financial services, or you look at healthcare, right? So we chose healthcare as one of the domains. But even before we chose healthcare, we looked at how can we help government improve services. And we were among the pioneers for the Huduma centers today. It was one of the projects that we helped drive at the initial stage of what became the Huduma centers today. So I'm very proud when I see today, as a typical citizen in the street, being able to access government services using technology. Today we've moved on and said, look, we need to see ways in which we could transform healthcare. In healthcare, we've then looked at how do we collaborate with global multinationals, and through those multinationals, we learned what it is to scale. So our first project with the likes of GE showed us that it is possible for you to scale, and it's possible for you not to think small. You can think globally. You can think at a Kenyan level, where you think across the country, deployment of healthcare. So I would appreciate, and I appreciate that they helped us understand and see opportunity that it's possible to actually scale at that market level.
Interesting. And you've actually just preempted my next question, which is on the opportunities in the health sector, especially with the Big Four agenda. And we've seen the president is very key to ensure we have the universal healthcare across the country. And from where you sit, what are the quick, low-hanging fruits that you see IT companies like yourself tapping into? And what is the worth and the size of the pie?
I think the first thing is to look what are the opportunities for technology companies in the Big Four, I would assume. When you look at the Big Four, I think we are the right time when, for the first time, we are rallying towards not very many things, but few things. So we are rallying around 4 segments, which is manufacturing, food security, healthcare, and housing.
Yes.
Now, whichever way you look at it, is that for the first time, all our considered efforts across the country are towards those four pillars. So any technology companies, the way I see it, I look at it I look at 3 circles. So the first circle is what we say the Big Four, right? The next overarching circle is what we call scalability. Can you scale? Because yes, the opportunities that come as a result of the Big Four, you need to be able to think about them from a scalability point of view. And the last circle, which then intertwines and brings what we call the sweet spot, is emerging technologies. So when I look at emerging technologies, we've got things like fintech, which is already quite embedded in our ecosystem today. Today, when we talk about fintech, yes, fintech, whether it is supply chain fintech, whether it is whatever, fintech is with us. And that's something that is embedded in what we do. When you look at things like blockchain, those are the great opportunities. Those are emerging technologies. When you look at things like IoT, Internet of Things, that's something that's also emerging. Sure. When you look at areas of machine learning, artificial intelligence, those are also opportunities or technologies that are emerging. So when you look at those three circles, you look at new technologies, you look at scale, and you look at the Big Four. I think when those 3 opportunities come together, then the opportunity then is there. Now, so as a technology company, then you need to ask yourself, if I'm in healthcare, how can I deliver healthcare across those 3 paradigms? Can I use healthcare and use IoT? Is there a fintech opportunity to drive healthcare? Is there a supply chain issue that requires some level of machine learning for you to understand the drug patterns, right?
All right. So you're talking big, Mike, that there are opportunities, but where are the investors? Where are the venture capitalists?
I think today, look, capital is competing, especially in our markets today. The angel investors, the venture capitalists, or people with capital, angel investors, let's start with, most of them compete with the asset class in terms of real estate. So many people, if you ask them, do you invest in real estate or do you invest in a technology company, most will tell you
real estate.
Real estate. It's unfortunate, but the way
it has the highest returns.
It has highest return in
across the asset classes.
Maybe, but I don't think so. When you look at, I think the challenge that we have is that we don't have any companies that have exited and created multiples of 300 for investors today in the tech space. People who invested in Amazon today are what? The people who invested in Amazon 15 years ago today are billionaires, right? So the reality is we need to prove to the market that the asset class in terms of investing in technology, the payoff can take. And that's what we need to try and do.
All right. And Seven Seas has been in the limelight for bagging some serious contracts from the government. And just walk us through your portfolio in terms of what you're delivering at the moment and how big is the market looking forward?
Yes, okay. I accept that we have government contracts, yes, and they contribute to a large portion of our business, but also we have large private sector customers in the healthcare space.
Oh, yes.
But in the government space, yes, we have projects we're implementing today. We have projects in the healthcare segment. These are complex projects, not easy projects. They are projects that will require a lot of commitment and a lot of what we call commitment as an organization, commitment from the customer, but also commitment to be able to see them through. They're not easy projects. They require a lot of change management, the way we do things, the way we operate. And this could be projects that will transform the healthcare sector in terms of delivery of the universal health coverage. Those are some of the projects we are currently implementing. Yes, and as I said, are they easy projects? No. But do they have significant impact in how the country is going to run moving forward? Yes, to a large extent.
All right.
Yes, so technology at the heart of what we do, and what we try and say is that we implement technology that will transform lives, right? And yes, government remains an important customer to anyone who wants to scale.
All right. And Mike, 18 years down the line, you cannot tell me it has been a walk in the park as a CEO, building a company from scratch with your partners to what it is today. Of course, every entrepreneur has to go through some challenges, be it government regulation, be it a question of the business not rising as fast as you would want, and of course the risks of being perceived to be close to government.
I think that's a heavy question, but yes, you as an entrepreneur, persistent and commitment to your journey is important. Now, do you have high moments? Yes. Do you have low moments? Yes, many. But I think what happens, you look at your graph. And in your graph, you have moments that are high, moments that are low. Moments that are high and low. You just hope that constantly, when you extrapolate that graph, your graph is going up, right? That's what you look at. And there is low moments and high moments. And we've had good high moments and low moments. But also you've got what we call, you've got opportunities that give you that you live for, that you know you need to be able to deliver for.
Yes.
Yes, so it has not been easy, but it's also been very rewarding. Would I challenge myself not to be, would I want not to be an entrepreneur? Never. I think it's the best thing I ever did in my life. And yes, challenges are there across, and those challenges have to be dealt with. Yes, there are moments when the challenges are to do with technology, are to do with human resource, are to do with delayed payments, are to do with government regulation. It doesn't matter, but there are challenges every day, and we have got to deal with those. Now, addressing the issue of perceived to be close to government, I don't think it's perceived to be close to government. I think the reality is we just take an opportunity and say we're going to do business with government. I think if we choose not to do business with government, because everybody says it's hazardous to do business with government, I think it's a disaster for the country, because who else is going to build? Who are we expecting to come and build for us? Then we cannot then say that because I took a risk and went and decided to do business with government to make a difference, then there's somebody else who comes from God knows where, right? And then gets the same project, and then we start blaming why these projects are being given to global companies. It's because we don't put ourselves out there. My belief system is that there's a lot to be done in the country. And some of us have to raise up and decide that it's going to be costly in terms of reputation risk. People are going to push you around. There's going to be all this what back and forth, but we will have to do what we need to do.
All right. And Mike, we are really out of time, but I just want you to close this off with giving us your parting shot. You're the man in the arena, and you've been fighting all your way up, and now you are simply at the cusp of being one of the biggest tech companies that I actually look forward to you being listed here before 2022.
Listing, we will list for sure. And in terms of creating value for shareholders, we have to. We have no choice. We've got people who have invested in us, who see value in terms of how they exit. We have got to be an example of other companies who see the journey and they don't get scared. So whatever needs to happen, we will find ourselves here. But to me, when I look at a parting shot, as you said, it's, and sort of summarizing what you've said, it's really one thing that one statement that comes to mind is by the former president in the U.S., Roosevelt. And maybe I could even read it out to you because I think I'd figure it out.
Knock yourself out. And
I think it is called a man in the arena, you know? And I think our challenge as we go along is we have to jump in. And it's only the guy in the arena that counts, right? Because look, there's a lot of problems to solve in the country. And we have to solve those problems. And not only in Kenya, but also in Africa. And it goes as follows. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who actually is in the arena, which I think we all need to get into the arena, whose face is marred by dust, sweat, and blood, right?
Yeah.
Who strives vigilantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, right? But who does actually strive to do deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory or defeat. And for me, I think whether you aspire to be a senator or an MP or an entrepreneur or a change maker or a social entrepreneur or a Nobel Prize winner, you cannot do that when you're outside the ring. And that, to me, I think, telling any other entrepreneur, you need to be out here. If you cannot keep on complaining, you have to jump into the arena. I think that is what I live by.
Wow. Very deep, Mike. I absorbed it fully. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And we really look forward to seeing the 7Cs being one of the stocks that will be listing in the Nairobi Securities Exchange eventually.
God
all right,
us, yes.
All right. Well, that is Mike Macharia, quite an inspiring man, as you've heard. And he's quite touching on the Big Four agenda, indicating that the opportunities are there. You just need to be strategic as an entrepreneur and seize the moment. Well, it's now time for us to